Good morning. It's 10 o'clock, and it's my privilege as Andrew Lansley. I am Low Associates Brussels Strategic Counsel, and it's my pleasure and privilege to be your moderator for today's discussions. I hope you can hear and see me, and I will take the opportunity to introduce our speakers during the course of the morning. Low Associates has the great privilege to be the project support to the European Covenant of Companies for Climate and Energy. We are ourselves a company who are very committed to the green energy transition and to meeting together with other companies across Europe our objectives, both for our customers and our suppliers, to ensure that as a society and as an economy, we meet our environmental objectives and move to the net zero targets. We see the pledging process and the Covenant of Companies for Climate and Energy as a very significant part, both in the short term and enabling companies to initiate and to take steps towards their decarbonisation objectives, but also in the longer term to enable Europe as a whole to achieve its net zero objectives. During the course of our discussions, I'm going to introduce those who are the experts in the opportunities for companies to pledge and then to secure technical assistance with their decarbonisation objectives. During the course of the discussions, I hope you will take an opportunity to ask questions. Do please use the chat function and I will pick up those questions and benefit from those in using them with our speakers. Do please be aware that the whole session is being recorded. And of course, that does give us an opportunity in due course for the session to be available to companies and representatives through the website. Now, let me first say I'm very pleased to welcome Georg Huben, who has a very significant portfolio of responsibilities in the Directorate General for Energy, which includes this European Covenant of Companies for Climate and Energy. And I will be very grateful, Georg, if you would kindly introduce the Covenant to our participants this morning.
Thank you, Andrew, and welcome everyone to this webinar. Yeah, it's my pleasure and honor to be let's say the counterpart of this great team dealing with the Covenant of Companies at the European Commission. And yeah, my job is simply to give you a very short, brief introduction to what the Covenant of Companies is. Now, the Covenant of Companies, from its original idea, has been very much inspired by an initiative called the Covenant of Mayors, which looks into climate mitigation adaptation measures in cities. So, so we were very happy to see a request from the European Parliament to launch something on SMEs, or let's say, generally speaking, on companies. So the Covenant of Companies is in a way looking into that same kind of support, encouragement for companies of all sizes, but the slight focus on SMEs to contribute to a clean energy transition, energy savings, and also the related climate objectives as set out in the European Green Deal. And so how do we do that? Well, the Covenant of Companies provides a pledging scheme, which has just been launched, which encourages businesses, and in particular SMEs, to commit to take action. And in turn, the Covenant of Companies provides essential assistance, guidance, but also technical assistance, peer-to-peer technical assistance, and relies on science-based targets in order to provide the best possible support to help companies in that decarbonization journey. In turn as well, for companies who step up their efforts, we also have a recognition scheme under the covenant of companies. And I'm not going into detail here because you will hear all the details on that later on by the Covenant of Companies team. And we also run a partner network to also make for some, let's say, multiplication, upscaling of efforts, and making the Covenant of Companies being seen and heard in all parts of Europe. So with this, I'm actually already at the end of this very, very brief introduction. I'm very happy to have you all here. I do appreciate a lot your interest, and I hope that the Covenant of Companies and what we do is yeah, a model for more to come. And we hope that we can sort of create a little movement for SMEs and companies of all sizes to really take part in the just and clean energy transition, and to make a difference with respect to the European Green Deal and making Europe climate neutral. With this, I give back to Andrew. Thank you very much. Wish you a very successful and insightful event, and I will stay around for possible questions. Thank you very much.
Gil, thank you very much for that introduction and setting the context for us. Thank you very much indeed. Let me move on, because if we can complete the presentations, we'll also have time then for questions. So let's turn to the processes of pledging and the availability of technical assistance and how companies can access this and benefit from it. I will start by asking Karen Clements, who is the Deputy Chief Executive Officer at Lowe Associates here in Brussels, and is Client Services Director, but also, most particularly for these purposes, Project Coordinator for the Covenant of Companies for Climate Energy. And I think, Karen, if you'd be kind enough to talk us through the pledging process, and then when you've finished, we'll look forward to hearing from Ilko as well about the technical assistance arrangements. But Karen, first, take us through the pledging arrangements, please.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and thank you, Georg. It's a pleasure to be here. As Georg said, this is a pilot initiative. It's a 2-year pilot initiative. We started last year. We kicked off the project last year with a first call to companies, which was an offer of advisory services that included technical assistance. And we've had invaluable feedback from the companies that took part in that technical assistance. And indeed, Carol, who we will hear from later, will be able to tell us a little bit more about his experience. This feedback helped us to redesign our offer. And so there was considerable evidence that pledging, making a commitment to act or to take action, as well as recognition of action, of having taken that action, are very strong motivators for companies. So in order to encourage as many companies as possible to start their decarbonisation journey or to progress it, we have integrated this pledging into the design of the covenant, and as well added a recognition or an award scheme, a seal of approval award scheme that will recognise the efforts taken by companies. So again, just to remind you of the objectives of this initiative, the critical thing is that we are able to reach as many companies as possible. Georg spoke about our focus on SMEs. SMEs are a significant percentage of companies in the European Union, and they obviously do emit substantially. So it's very important that we reach as many as possible, as well as their enablers, industry federations that they may belong to, trade associations, etc., so that they can have the knowledge and access to the support that they need to take these active measures. It's very important as well that this system is as rigorous as possible, so that where we can demonstrate effort, investment and impact, but whilst at the same time limiting the burden of reporting wherever we can. And finally, and critically, there is no room for greenwashing in the covenant. greenwashing devalues the real efforts by companies across the European Union, and that is why we explicitly link recognition to commitment, and you cannot get recognition without having provided proof of action. So just to remind you why it is important, that there can, as I said earlier, 99% of 0.8% of companies are SMEs, and they make a significant contribution to our emissions. In other words, there can be no net zero without SMEs. So now I'm going to talk you through the actual pledging process. So in making a pledge with the covenant, you commit to take action to decarbonise, and we will provide you with the knowledge and the support that you need in order to carry out these measures. At the entry level, companies automatically gain access to information and guidance to help decide which measures you want to take and become signatories of the covenant. And then beyond that, if you decide and commit to take action, then you'll have access to one-to-one technical assistance, to all sorts of masterclasses and guidance to help achieve the targets, and be rewarded with either a bronze, silver or gold seal, depending on the extent of your efforts and investment. So I'm going to take you through this in a little bit more detail so that it's absolutely clear what the process is. So you can see we've adopted this pyramid approach. And at the 4 levels, with the ambition that at the base layer of the pyramid, we welcome companies at the beginning of their journey, who can then move up the pyramid and be recognised according to the magnitude of your effort or your investment. But at the same time, we will welcome companies at any stage on their decarbonisation journey. So the entry level looks at ways of helping companies to increase their awareness and their understanding of what actions are critical for their business and for planetary survival. And any company that commits to find ways to decarbonise becomes a signatory, gains access to information and guidance to help them decide which measures, if any, they wish to take. There is no compulsion to take action at the end of this period. You remain within the family, but obviously do not have access to the full extent of the information that others would have. But any company that commits to take action receives support in the form of online tools and the one-to-one technical assistance to help you achieve your target. And companies having taken one measure or more will be rewarded with the bronze or the silver or the gold. And I'm going to now go through each level in a bit more detail. So at entry level, the pledge is that the company will take reasonable efforts to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions. And what it gains as a result of doing so is access to guidance materials, to masterclasses on assessing a company's emissions, or on the recognition scheme itself, or on the Science-Based Target Initiative, if it wants to aim for gold. And these masterclasses will be available in English and in 7 other languages. And Elko, who we'll be hearing from later, will be able to go through those in more detail. The guidance materials will include a country overview. There are 6 at the moment on the website, but there will be eventually, we hope, be able to cover every member state of the European Union. And we'll also have, in due course, a matrix that links the guidance and the specific measures to national and EU support policies and programmes and actions. In terms of reporting, we ask that within 12 months of making the pledge, the company informs us of the measures that it's decided to take. And as a result of that, it moves up to the level, the relevant level, whether it's working towards bronze or it wants to take several measures because it's realized it has the capacity and the access to the right kind of support to do that, in which case it will aim for those. And as I said earlier, if the company decides not to take action, it no longer has access to the peer learning, but it is still and removed from the signatory register, but it still has access to the covenant family, because we don't want to lose anyone. We just want it to be the right time for the company to take action. The recognition, obviously, as I've said, the company becomes an official signatory of the covenant, and its name and logo are listed on the website. And moving to bronze level, this is where the company commits to taking at least one measure to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions. And again, there is access to guidance materials, but critically here at bronze level, you gain access to one-to-one technical assistance. And again, the company name and logo on the website. Now, when working towards the bronze seal, the company must have taken action within 12 months. And reporting will be carried out by submitting evidence of having implemented a measure. Now, the measure is specified if it is already known, and it is considered valid if it directly contributes to a reduction in GHG emissions, greenhouse gas emissions. The measure is part of a national or a European scheme or support programme, and the measure will obviously feature on our menu of support available to businesses. In terms of reporting, the proof of successful use of the support scheme is provided either by the company in question or by the compliance organisation associated with the support scheme. Proof can include a successful subsidy request or an invoice for work or installation delivered, or a statement of completed of works, for example. And the company then is awarded the bronze seal when it can show that it has taken that measure. And it receives the seals in the form of certificates and social media assets. And we make sure that you are promoted at that level. Excuse me. So when we move up to silver level, the company is committing to taking several measures to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions. And again, the benefits are similar: masterclasses, guidance, one-to-one technical assistance, peer learning, etc. The reporting is identical. The proof of a successful use of a support scheme, whether it's a subsidy request, whether it's installation, statement of completion of works, it's the same system. And the recognition, again, is the same, except the silver seal is awarded. And then finally, gold. Gold, obviously, is the nirvana that we're all aiming for in time, in due course. And that is when the company commits to taking all the possible measures in its sector to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions. And again, here, the company receives guidance, masterclasses, peer learning. These are totally focused and directed towards the gold seal. So they are very targeted and focused masterclasses and peer learning experiences with other gold seal companies or who are working towards the gold seal. This definition of having taken all possible measures in your sector at national and European level avoids having to collect audited evidence on actual emission profiles. And it makes the process, we hope, more simple and accessible, whilst at the same time being entirely verifiable and transparent. We would still carve out a space for companies aiming for net zero, and so that gold is both so-called maximum support users, but also companies looking to reach net zero. We would refer these companies to the Science-Based Target Initiative, and they would receive the support that is available through that initiative, but also special recognition from the covenant, whether it's a platinum seal or a net zero business seal, we have yet to see. One thing that I should reiterate is that this is an iterative, this is a pilot initiative, so we are constantly shaping it with the feedback and the experience of the companies that work with us. So it is not absolutely perfectly formed, and we hope that we can continue to refine it as we go on. Well, we've talked a lot about these seals, but it is very important that companies are recognised for the action that they have taken, and that those different levels of ambition and action are recognised. And we hope that this will be useful, not just for the company's dealings with its customers, but also for its own staff, to help to keep the motivation and the pride in being a company that takes its commitments seriously. So as Georg said, we launched this first pledging, technical assistance and recognition scheme on the 8th of May. And we have happily, we have companies that have already pledged and signed up to take part in it. And I hope many, many, many more will do so. And we'll be doing lots of activities, promotional activities, to try and reach the companies where they are. We don't expect people to come to us. We're trying to get to the companies where you are. And we'll be working very, very hard to do that, so that we can get this critical mass that I talked about earlier. And I want to reiterate that companies can join at any stage of their decarbonisation journey. And we also indeed encourage those that represent or that support SMEs to encourage their members or their suppliers to join this and to make progress on their decarbonisation journey. That's the pledging system. Now I'm going to hand over to my colleague Elko, who can tell you a bit more about the technical assistance that companies will receive once they've pledged. Thank you, Elko.
Thank you, Karen. So indeed, my name is Ilko Kruijsgraaf. I'm based in the Netherlands. I represent a company called DNV, Dat Norske Veritas, and we are in the business of assurance and risk management, particularly in the energy sector. So I'm also part of the energy markets and strategy group within DNV. And I'm going to spend a few minutes on the support advisory support service that the covenant is able to offer to a subset of the pledgers, I must say. So I'm going to explain the process and also the content of those advisory services. So next slide, please. Thank you. So as you've heard from Karen, technical assistance, and with that we mean one-to-one technical assistance. So it's a consultancy-based, bespoke, contextualized service towards individual companies, spanning more or less, five days of support for each individual company, to really help you implement the measures you have chosen to implement and achieve your targets. That technical assistance, that one-to-one technical assistance, is available to the bronze, silver, and gold pledgers, as you've heard. And also, depending on whether you pledge for bronze, silver, and gold, we also will tune the technical assistance to that level of pledging as well. Now, how can you access that technical assistance? So either directly via the pledging form, or you may decide to apply for the technical assistance later. And in that case, we have our help desk available to you, who can provide you with the right details. Having said that, because we are a pilot, we cannot sort of offer one-to-one technical assistance to anybody pledging. So there's a limitation to that. So I would say, if I were you, I would feel encouraged to go directly via the pledging form, because it's it has a sense of first come, first serve element in there as well. Now, if you're not interested in technical assistance or unlucky in sort of receiving technical assistance on a one-to-one basis, we do have various guidance documents as well, and that's a growing collection of guidance documents and other useful resources that are available online to those who have pledged that, so it will be password protected in that sense. Also part of the, let's say, the larger sort of under the larger umbrella of support, we also offer peer-to-peer learning and master classes, as Karen has explained. But those will be more group-based, as you can imagine, whereas the technical assistance will be one-to-one bespoke for your individual company. Actually, so you can already start to apply after you have pledged it. So the second call for technical assistance has opened on the 8th of May, so a few days ago. It is a rolling call, so between the 8th of May and the 31st of August, we will be accepting applications, and we'll be continuously evaluating those and accepting those if they meet the criteria, if your application meets the criteria, until such time that we don't have any further resources anymore to support you. So to give you sort of an impression, so we believe we can be serving up to 75, 80 or so individual companies as well with the technical assistance. What we have learned from the first series of technical assistance mini projects is that language plays a very important role in sort of offering the support and making it really accessible. So we want to sort of stress that we can now offer technical assistance in Dutch, English, French, and German, and with some, I must say, limited translation capabilities in Bulgarian, Lithuanian, Romanian, and Spanish. So with that in mind, I think if you speak English or French, I think you were sort of already in a quite good position, as well as German as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. So a little overview of the timeline. So the call is open. It will be open until the 31st of August. During that same period, we will be selecting the applicants, and we will be starting so-called, we call them scope definition meetings and agreements. Because what we have also learned is that it's really important to sort of understand each other. So to manage expectations, to also be able to contextualize and make our support very specific. So we do want to set up a scope definition meeting and also lay down what we agree in a formal document. So we have both sides are clear on the process and the desired end result. So that will already start within the same period as well. Now then, the technical assistance will materialize. It says starts May in 2023. So if you're really quick, you can already start, already this month. But in reality, we expect that the technical assistance will stretch until the end of October of this year. What I've personally learned from the technical assistance that DNV has been doing during the first call is that although it is a 5-day type of support in effort, sometimes the duration might be a bit longer, because we are expecting you to submit data to us that we'd analyze, and maybe you need some time to find out those data points as well. We are very cognizant that it is the summer period, so bear that in mind yourselves as well. So I think my advice to you would be apply as soon as possible, because that gives you the longest period of time until the end of October as well. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of talking about the process, that should be pretty clear by now. What is it that we actually do during these technical assistance mini projects? So we have, let's say, a menu of services varying from energy audit assistance, offering training on specific technologies or energy services, but also to guide you to create an action plan to reach your desired target, and also to help you in finding and accessing local or national financial support as well, because there is a lot of support available, but you need to find your way to that support, and we do offer support in that area as well. as I said, we have a predefined menu, but we are flexible. So if you think what you need is not on the menu, do say so, because as Karen's saying, we are an initiative, we are a pilot program. So we also like to learn from you. So we have set up this menu of services from experience, but we're sort of pretty clear that there might be other types of support that you may require. So do be vocal on that and tell us. We will then evaluate your request and do our best to fulfill your needs as well. And towards the end of the technical assistance, we really would value your feedback on the services provided, so that we can sort of continuously improve our own services. So do reserve some time and some effort in terms of providing that feedback to us after closure of the technical assistance project that we undertake together. Next slide, please. Yes, so I was already briefly mentioning this concept of a master class. We have set up a little sort of learning program depending on the level you pledge to. So for bronze level, we do envisage a number of master classes in, for instance, how to prepare for an energy audit, how to get started with solar energy, also on our own recognition scheme, how you can become more energy efficient, quite quickly, the low-hanging fruits there, depending on your sector and business size. Then for silver, we foresee a masterclass on monitoring of greenhouse gas emissions, and also to develop an action plan to reduce those emissions. And then for gold, we foresee a masterclass on becoming net zero, and also to be working with your supply chain, and also include your scope 3 and how to evaluate suppliers on their GHG emissions and their efforts to reduce their part of the emission volume. Next slide, please. Yeah, so maybe I can hand back to Karen here and say, how you can sort of be in contact with us. We do have our website, we do have our newsletter, and with 4 editions per year. That website contains the publicly available material. We also have a private environment. It's called Futurium, that is password protected, where it will be used for those who have a bona fide pledge with the covenant. Thank you.
Eelco, thank you very much indeed. And for those, I know we can see a number of participants have joined us since we began. Just to say a welcome to everybody. Georg Huben from the Directorate General for Energy gave us a very helpful introduction to the discussion. Then we heard from Karen Clements, the project coordinator, about the pledging process leading into the technical assistance. Eelco, thank you very much for talking us through that. Before I move to Carol, can I just pick up 1 or 2 of the questions that we have? But Karen, in the course of your slides, when you reach the gold recognition level, there was a reference to the scope 1, 2, and scope 3, if scope 3 is more than 40% of combined emissions. I have to confess, as my limited knowledge of these things suggested to me I didn't understand that. And then Eelco also referred to definition of scope. Would it be helpful maybe if you were to tell us a bit about how scope is defined? What is scope for these purposes?
Thank you, Andrew.
Karen.
Yes, I think that would be helpful. I'm actually going to turn that question to Eelco, who is our expert on scope. He's our scope expert.
Eelco, please.
Yeah, quite simply, it's that term actually that terminology comes from the Greenhouse Gas Protocol, which and what you could say scope 1 is all your direct emissions, and scope 2 is your indirect emissions. So, right. And then scope 3 is the emissions caused by the life cycle of your product. So it's outside of your company gate, if you want. So it's also the emissions because you buy stuff, you're purchasing, and also you sell stuff. But during the whole life cycle, there might be emissions, or there will be emissions related to the use of the provenance of your raw materials, as well as the use of your product by others. I mean, for instance, if you go to the petrol station, you are burning that fuel, but it's not burned within the, if you go to a Shell petrol station, it's not burned by Shell, but you are burning it. So it's part of their scope, Shell scope 3 in that sense. So it's where you put the boundary, basically. Yeah. So, but okay, the thinking back to the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, and the 40%. So some products and some services have a larger footprint outside of your company gate than others. So if the proportion is quite large, we'd like to include that as well. So hence that reference to scope 3.
Right. There was Jonas has also asked a question. Is there assistance with full carbon reporting? And is there a link with the CSRD reporting? I wondered, Ilko, would you be able to respond to Jonas on those points?
Yeah, it's a fair point. In the as Karen rightly said, in the design of the pledging scheme, we have, given the fact that we work with, primarily work for SMEs who are sort of stressed for time and budget as well. We have decided not to focus on carbon reporting as part of the pledging. So we are not asking for our carbon account or a sort of independent third party review of your emissions. So we're not going down that route. Having said that, we know it's important. So our technical assistants and our master classes, at request, could focus on and any requirements put on you as a company, either through your supply chain or through your sector organization or through your national government, to help you to monitoring and reporting as well. But it's not the covenant itself that will be asking for your verified emission data as well. So in that sense, there's no direct link between pledging and carbon accounting. But in our support, we will, at request again, be offering guidance how to report under the, for instance, under that scheme that was mentioned by the journalist. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I know we have questions coming in on the chat, but I'm going to take the opportunity now because it will, I know, also prompt further questions, to hear from Carol Lefchik, who is Sales Director at Plasfarb. Carol, you have been involved in the European Covenant and can tell us something about this from the perspective of a company involved. I wonder if, Carol, if you would kindly talk us through your experience.
Of course. Good morning to everyone. As it was said, I'm the representative of Plasfarb company. First, I will shortly describe what our company does, and it will be easier to explain the assistance we received later on. So we are basically from Poland, from Toruń, which is about 250 kilometers to the west from Warsaw, which gives you some clue where we are. And we are the producer of the packaging solutions with over 30 years of experience of this market already. So let's say quite long for this market. We have very wide range of the product, but I will not focus on all of them because we don't have much time. I could speak a couple of hours as I'm from the sales department, but let's leave it. Let's focus just to show you what we are doing. So our main products are security envelopes made of plastic or recycled plastic. Security envelopes are used for bank sectors or companies that transport cash. So most of you didn't have any knowledge about it probably, or didn't see even such product because banks do not show it. Main feature of these envelopes is that you cannot open this envelope and then try to take anything from it without any visible signs. So you simply cannot open the bag that no one will show it. This is very important, of course, if you transport the cash, because people are people and you know how it works. Someone will see cash, can find out that maybe we can try to take out from this. But second range of product, which is closer to individual people as we are here, is simple envelopes, which are very popular now, especially in the time when we are all ordering stuff from internet. So if you order some clothes from internet, you usually receive it packed in some envelope, paper, or plastic, depends on the company. So this is our two main products, let's say. In general, we are classified as middle-sized company, but since the beginning of existing the company, we are trying to be in the front of each new solutions, each changes, each new products, each simply develop to be in front of all the changes. I'm not going to lie anybody here. It's basically 2 points of view. One is the business point, company to earn. So being in front of each changes give you opportunity to be in front of the competitors. But in our business, when we are using plastic, it is very important to take into consideration on environmental friendly products, especially nowadays when it's more and more evolving, the planet looks like it looks like. You need to be aware that there are some solutions that can be more eco-friendly, even if you are talking about the plastic. So I can give you some short example. I work here since 6 years already. 5 years ago, our products were done for 90% of virgin material, so totally new plastic. Now, since 2 years, 70% of our production is made from recycled plastic, post-production plastic, or what is more important, from post-consumer recycled plastic. So there are special companies that collect used plastic, recycled it, and we can buy it from them. We do not, in this case, we do not put any new plastic in the market, but use the one which is already there, which is very important, taking into consideration the environmental friendly thing, let's say. And this also brings us to the main topic, which is the carbon footprint, the carbonization topic. As I said, we are in general middle-sized company, so we have still plenty of time to start this project. As far as remember, 230 is the year when we need to have prepared the carbon footprint calculations and all these topics for the middle companies. But as I said, we are always trying to be in head of any changes, so we start already now. So 7 years before we need to be prepared. We decided to be more interested in this topic, let's say. But yeah, we do not have any specialists in the company about the footprint, about the carbonization in general. So we need to find some specialists. As always, you need to find someone who will help you. We start searching, discussing with companies we work with. And this is how we find the CCCE company and receive assistance we needed. I can maybe divide this assistance we receive or help we receive into 3 main points, let's say. First one was the basic knowledge about the topic in general, which is for us as on the first step, it was very important to get any information we didn't have earlier. Second one, which is also important, was how to calculate carbon footprint, what features have impact, how big impact all these points get. As we are not a specialist, some things were even totally out of our mind that it's so important. One example, we have 2 places when we produce our products. So sometimes we need to transport semi-product from one point to the other. This is also included in this decarbonization process, let's say, because we transport it by truck, so truck generates some carbon. So we need to be aware of that each step you are doing during every production generates some carbon, some gases, etc. Third point, which is from our point of view, let's say the most important, I would say. So how to reduce this carbon footprint? As it was said earlier, some solar energy, which we already plan to put on our production. Using the post-consumer recycled products, which also generate during the production some carbon, but it's not new production, so it's also need to know how to calculate it, how to use it, have some knowledge what is the difference between new production and production made from recycled materials. All this knowledge and calculations we already received, and all the support we received, give us some first vision about the topic, how big this topic is. To be honest, we didn't have that in mind that it's so wide, but yeah, now it's much easier. Also, what's from business point of view, let's say, is very important. It gives us the time to focus about future investments we need to do to complete the product or complete the process of decarbonization. So any plans, any new machines, any future stop we'll make, we already have the plan to take into consideration support we received. This is also from us as the company who work with some big companies, very important to simply answer the questions from some other companies. If you have any knowledge, if you start this project, because for big companies, the deadline for the calculating carbon footprint is 2025. So even we are not obligated now, our companies we work with, our customers already are asking some questions. So if you would start it a bit later, let's say, we'll have no knowledge till the time. It will not look simply good with our customers. Now, with this knowledge, we can answer some first question. We can show that we are interested in this topic. We furthermore make some first steps of changing our company into more eco-friendly, let's say. Yeah, we are still, I think, at the beginning of this path, because the process is quite long. It's not one day you are applying and second day you're finished. But you need some time. But with the knowledge we receive and the support on each stages, we already can figure out how to handle this situation in next year. So yeah, that is short explanation how this looks like from our point of view.
Carol, thank you very much indeed. That's very helpful, very interesting. Can I just ask, from your point of view, does that mean that this is already having a benefit in terms of your relationship with your customers, not least because some of them are large companies who are themselves asking the questions of themselves about how they go through the same process of decarbonisation by 2025?
Yeah, of
and
course.
They are looking to you as a supplier. It's important to them that you are on that path with them.
Yeah, of course. I can guarantee this is already have some benefits, even if you are at the beginning of this path. We clearly see the benefits. We are one step ahead of other companies, so we can maybe not so much advice to the biggest companies because they need to still find professional solutions and professional support. But we can give them some first step knowledge to where they can try to do it, where can they find some assistance, and how, to be honest, easy it is to start with this project. Because probably if you are thinking about how big this project is, most of us thinking, okay, it will take a lot of time, it will be a lot of documents. Of course, it will be some time to finish this process. But at this stage which we already received all the information needed to show our customers we already started this process, even we are not obligated to it, which I think is very important for big companies, that they work with other companies that are already on this stage as we are.
Very good. Can I just open it out to our other panelists with some of the questions that we've had? Harold Grill has asked a number of questions. I wonder if I could turn to you, Ilko, about the questions relating to an energy audit. Could you just say something? Harold was asking about what it means to prepare for an energy audit. Should this not be done by the local auditor themselves? But actually, I think it's open it out generally. I mean, when one starts this process as a company, is not an energy audit really a key part of the process, not least because it will enable one as a company to look for energy efficiency and to maximize cost savings as well as environmental gains.
Yeah, that's very, you're absolutely right, Andrew. So to understand your baseline, your starting point, that's definitely really, really important. Yeah, I think it's important to note that an energy audit, it could be sort of a formal energy audit, or let's say an inventory, which is more of a softer term as well. So what we do in our technical assistance is to identify, go through your process, and that could be quite a complex process as well. So we heard from Carol, their process is not non-trivial to produce those products. So to identify where are your sort of where is energy being consumed as well, and what are low-hanging fruits to address reductions as well. So that's what we mean how to prepare for an energy audit. So to go through your process and to identify where is energy being used, and what type of energy is being used, and then also to understand, well, where can we sort of pinpoint our actions as well to help reduce those that profile basically as well. Yeah. Of course, you can obviously you can rely on your local energy audit, or if you have that available to you, then that's probably a far better option than to go to the government, if only for language sakes and local understanding as well. But if you don't have any idea on how to do that, then definitely you can turn to us as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Karen, I wonder if Harold was also asking about the bronze, silver, gold, the recognition processes, including obviously also that it will include the science-based targets and the net zero designations. These are important designations, but they need to be understood, since the companies should receive significant benefit from not only internally from the processes and in cost terms, but actually from a wider community and recognition of that. How far is that being taken forward? And that maybe that links a bit to the question from Yaroslav, very good question about how to bring companies into the project. And I wonder if you might tell us a bit about how companies might themselves be the not only beneficiaries of the process, but actually themselves become evangelists in the process.
To be honest, we start asking about companies we work with, if they have any knowledge how to start this project, if they knew someone who can help us. We receive that support from one of the companies we work. They simply, okay, let's contact with Covenant of Companies. They for sure will help you to start with this project. And that's what we do. To be honest, I wasn't at the first step of the contact, so I cannot answer the questions. What was the first step we made? I was in the next meetings, let's say, so during the whole process. Regarding the benefits, as I said a bit at the beginning, probably most of our here are some companies workers or some people who have their own companies. So from business point of view, it is very easy to see this. Completely different topic, completely different conversation with our suppliers, with our customers. They see we are already doing something, even if you don't need to do it yet. And no one has obligatory started this year. But if you start, for sure, you will be one of the first of the companies still, because this process is quite young, let's say. Yeah. From other point of view, I can say from our production, let's say, being eco-friendly gives you new customers simply. Of course, we are producing some specific, let's say, product in nowadays, which are made partly of plastic. So maybe this also help us being on the top of the changes, that each change in new plastic is a good change. Yeah. For different companies, probably it looks a little different. From our point of view, we can already see, but this process takes, I don't know, a couple of months, so it's not so long time, and we already see some benefits from taking actions, even we are at the beginning stage.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carol. Karen, can I just bring you in as well on the communication of the programme? And we did hear about the Futurium group and the newsletters and the ability for those who are pledging companies in effect to talk to each other and to share experience. But can you respond to Harold and Yaroslava as well in terms of the overall communications activity?
Yes, thank you, Andrew. No, Harold's quite right. The label is not yet widely known. We've got to start somewhere though. And so what we're trying to ensure is that we are able to promote this label at the level where it's most appropriate for that company. So in some instances, if companies are not trading across borders, then a pan-European recognition is not necessarily going to be what they're most looking for. So we will ensure that there is recognition at local level, at regional level, at national level, and at European level. To do so, we're building up a partner network that has extensive roots on the ground. But as I must stress, this is a pilot initiative, so we are not all over the European Union at every level that we could possibly be yet, but we would like to be able to support that companies wherever they are. In terms of the promotion and using, or rather having testimonials from companies that have been through, that have benefited from the assistance, like Carol, these are absolutely critical to the covenant, and to be able to show what the covenant can do and how it can support companies on their journey. So yes, whether it's in video format or taking part in webinars like these, we can't do this without companies that have benefited and that can talk about their experience. It will be critical to the success. Equally, we talked about, Yaroslav suggested that we have videos, etc., and that's clearly something that we all want to be doing to keep on promoting this. But yes, and Carol himself, although he was part of the first technical assistance, which didn't at that stage have pledging or recognition wrapped around it, we will of course now be working with Carol to recognise the fantastic efforts that they've made, and I hope that Carol will become one of our poster men for the government.
Of course, I will do my best for sure.
Very good. I won't interfere too much with the Plasfarb appreciation opportunity. Karen, what you were saying about a pilot project, of course, is quite important, because companies can use this as an opportunity to provide feedback as well, and that can be really useful for them and indeed for their sectors in terms of the availability of this as a longer term resource. But I just wonder, as I move toward the close, I just wanted to say one or two things. Firstly, a big thank you to Georg, to Karen, to Ilko, to Carol for all of your contributions. I think that's been really helpful. I think from my point of view, I thought what was really very clear was that really, if one starts this process, one can be assisted at each stage. It's not you're never on your own. And I think that's terribly important. But from a company point of view, if you can access the technical assistance, if you can access in certain circumstances, the masterclasses, the one-to-one assistance, understanding the availability of national or regional measures, including financial support, it becomes what one might say really a very straightforward proposition. Why would one not do this? We're all in a process where we want to achieve climate neutrality and a green energy transition. In the last, unhappily in the last year or so, we've become only too painfully aware of the risks and the costs associated with energy dependencies and the benefits that are associated with creating new and renewable forms of energy and arriving at a decarbonised future. That these things are really important at an economic level as well as for society as a whole. And companies are an integral part of society. And as Karen rightly said, none of this is possible without our SMEs. None of this is possible without industry stepping up. But why wouldn't companies step up? Because actually their staff will be supportive, their customers will be appreciative, and the costs and financial implications can be significant and positive if companies really take this to heart and use the advice and the assistance and the support that is available. And that process of navigating the support is something I know companies will very much appreciate. And as they do it, they can do it with what obviously is a happy and supportive team, but also with the benefit of entering into interesting discussions and relationships with other companies who are going through the same processes themselves. So our time is complete. I'm very grateful to all of those speakers. Delighted that we've been able to have this opportunity. This recording will be available for others who want to hear about the pledging and assistance program through the Covenant of Companies for Climate and Energy. And I'm very much look forward to the further progress that's going to be made during the course of this year in terms of extending the pledging and the Covenant process to more companies across Europe. Can I say a very final thank you on behalf of Low Associates to DG Energy and to Plastfarb and to DNV Energy Systems for all being on our call, but most especially to all of you, the participants. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for being with us and thank you for your questions. Have a very good day. The day is before you. Do please enjoy it and keep safe. Bye for now.